Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Rene Alvarez, and I'll be your host for this ITM Platform training session. Remember that these training sessions can grant you the ITM Platform certification if you accumulate 10 hours of training. This session will have a duration of approximately 45 minutes, after which we will have some minutes to cover all the questions you may have. Please enter your questions in the chat or through the Q&A section. This is mainly a technical session for admins and full access users. Our topics for today are these. We will cover organization settings, parameters, users and permissions, cost management, custom fields, all the settings and features, and we will wrap up by addressing how to better ask for help or new features in our system. Okay? So let's go ahead. Let's start and cover all these different features. First, organization settings. Here we will set some things up like company settings, organization units, work groups, and language. So let me go ahead and show you that directly on the tool. When we talk about configuration, we mainly go to the last tab in the menu. Here we will have access to different parts. The first one is this. Under organization, we have company settings. What type of things can we find here? Well, we can find things like, for example, what is the name of our organization? What is the URL of our organization? The primary language, identification settings, and some extra topics that might be really important for you later on. So let me address those. For example, the standard payment period. This one would affect if you intend to use the close periods feature for invoicing and provider control. Also, when the fiscal year start, the fiscal year end, the date format, the first day of the week. So general settings that will affect the entire system. Okay. Additionally, you can upload a custom logo that displays in the login area. Right. Normally, this is configured only one time, after which it is rarely touched. Okay. There's one setting that cannot be changed once you set it up. That is the base currency. Once you set up the base currency, that is enforced in the system and cannot be changed later. Although we will cover, you can have multiple currencies set up in the system. Next, we have organization units. Organization units will allow you to organize projects and resources. So we recommend you to think about the different areas in your organization that either have projects, execute projects, or those areas that would provide resources to execute projects. Okay, so you can see them in here. You can add new units, and you can later create a structure by connecting child to parents. And you can see the effect if you go to the management tab, and then you click on organization preview. This will give you the hierarchy that you create on that area. Okay. All right. Next, we have work groups. Work groups is a way of organizing different resources. Okay. A resource, a user, can belong to multiple different work groups. So you can set them up here, and these might come handy when you face an organization that is kind of complex in terms of resource organization. So you can create them here, and later when you set up your users, you can assign them to different groups. And last, we have the language. Language, you will find it under communication. Okay. First, let me show you the settings area. Sorry, the multi-language. Sorry. And in here, you can also see the different languages that are supported in the system: English, Spanish, and Portuguese. Okay. This is really not configurable, but this will give you an idea of which languages you can configure later on. Certain customizations might require a different interpretation or different description depending on which language the user is using ITM Platform. Okay. All right. So that is for organization settings. Now, the next step is parameters. This is kind of the most important piece in the system setup. Okay. We will very quickly see the different areas that you can enter parameters for: projects and services, tasks and activities, risks and issues, program assets and progress parameters, and purchase and revenue parameters. So again, let me go back into the system. Just a sec. Let's go here. All right. So under parameters, we can find all these areas to enter parameters, to provide with parameters. The most complex one is the project parameters area. Okay, but the rest will work in the same way. Let me describe this real quickly. First, the project priority. You can add as many priorities as you want, and you can remove them, rename them if you prefer, and you can set which one is default. So whenever you create a new project, it will adopt that predefined, that default project priority. Okay, this is a simple catalog, really. Next, we have the project status. The project status will allow you to create the support for project life cycles. We will address this in a very specific training session, so I'm not going to cover this with detail today, but this is the area where you can provide this structure to support from project intake, ideation, to project closure. Okay. Next, we can set up project types. Again, project types looks like a catalog. Actually, it is a catalog. You can create as many project types as you require. This has nothing to do with the methodology that you intend to apply to your projects. It can be either waterfall or agile, okay? But you can create them in here, and you can enter very specific settings for each, right? Also, you have project approvals. This is another type of catalog. You can create as many approval values that you require. You can delete the ones that you don't want, although one of those should be the default. Okay. Last, we have methods. Now, these methods will apply either to the entire system or to certain specific project types that you define. And for methods, we think about how the progress is calculated. Again, we will cover this in another training session, so you can better understand what the project calculation is. Revenue and revenue recognition. Those will be addressed on another training session as well, but you can control it from here. Now, also you can, for example, prevent your project manager from changing this setting, right? And you can also relate these methods for project types, specific project types. So, for example, if you go to a project type, you can set it to be inherited, the progress and revenue methods. This means it will follow what you set up in the methods tab, or you can define your own methods for this specific project type. Okay. The rest of parameters are going to work on the same way. So, for example, we have service parameters, which will respond pretty much to the same structure. We have priority, status, type, approval, and methods. We have task parameters, mainly catalogs. What is the task priority, the task status, and the task type. Activity parameters, which are very similar: priority, status, and activity type. And then risk parameters. This one is kind of special because you have two catalogs. First, which you can customize. the impact and probability. You can set up your own values, okay? But later on, it ends up in a risk level calculation, right? So you will need to define what is the range of values for any of these three enforced values, okay? You will also have risk status and risk types. The same goes for issues, okay? Two simple catalogs, type and status. Program parameters, very similar to the previous, priority, status, and type. Asset parameters, if you are using those, you can add as many types as you need. Progress parameters, good, caution, critical, or whatever it is what you want to reflect in the tool. And then purchase parameters, type and status, and revenue parameters, also status. Okay, as you can see, this is quite simple. Now let's move forward into the next area. We have users and permissions. Now this is going to be a little bit more complex. First, let's think about users and non-logging users. All right. So for this, go back. Now we are going to go to the organization tab. In here, you will find the user management area. And the first option is users. This is where you can see and create all the users that you support on your system, okay? The first thing that you need to know is for ITM Platform, a user and a resource is basically the same thing. It is a person that you can assign to a specific task or activities, right? And usually they are calculated in different ways that allows the project manager to control the project. Now, what is the difference between a user and a non-login user? Basically, it's the ability to sign into your system, okay? You can have as many users as you want, as long as they either have a license or they are non-login user, so they consume no license, all right? You just need to provide with a login name, which is typically the email address, okay? And then you can configure the rest. By rest, I mean, what is the name, professional experience, or other identification information that is either on the personal tab, education, or position. We will refer to this one later. And in here, you can create a relationship to the work groups, which we covered before, and the available roles. The roles will assign the permission to the user. We will refer to that in a moment. Okay. Now, there is something special for some customers. If you would like to have single sign-on, okay, you can have another system, another platform to provide with the authentication process. For example, if you use Microsoft 365 or you use another type of Okta, for example, you can have this other system to provide you with the signing process and then automatically sign in into ITM Platform. If that is the case, we will recommend you to follow the guidelines provided to you in the Help Center. We have a very useful article that explains with a lot of detail how to configure this single sign-on experience. In that case, ITM Platform will no longer use the password for these users. It is your single sign-on system that will do that. Okay. Now, what about roles? Roles are connected to licenses and they will provide the list of permissions. We have these four basic roles: project and service manager, team member, full access, and stakeholder. Okay. Full access, as you can imagine, will provide me with all permissions. I am capable of do everything that I please. Okay. If we look at project and service manager, this is more limited. All right. So the first thing that you need to know is how many licenses you have in ITM Platform. Therefore, which role should you be using? Okay. Now, these are just the default roles. You can create your own roles in your system. You will see a button. I don't have it in here because I'm using a demo area, but you will have a button at the top of this table that allows you to create new roles. And when you create a new role, you can configure the different variations, the different permissions that you want to apply. The most flexible one is for sure the full access. If you use full access, the full access license as a standard, as a basis, you are able to create any type of custom role. If you use another one, for example, Projects and Service Manager, you need to know that you are limited to what that license allows you to do. For example, Project and Service Manager, even if you configure the role, they won't have access to, for example, user management or to enter parameters in the system. Okay. Next, we go to working hours. In working hours, you will set up how many hours any typical working day will have. Okay, traditionally, we have from Monday to Friday, 8 hours per day. Okay, but in your case, this can be different. This is a very important setting because it will affect all your projects, all the calculations. All projects will follow the default working hour setting. Okay, although you can create extra working hours if you have users that will work differently. For example, a part-time list of users. And if you want them to have a different working hour setting, you can create them in here. It will not affect the project. It will affect how the user works and how it's calculated. Okay. The same goes for calendars. Calendars are basically a way of telling ITM Platform which days are non-working days. You can create them here manually, or maybe you can import them from a CSV file if you have that. You can download a sample CSV file to see how you would need to configure it. So it's easy to upload it every year. Okay. All right. Let's move forward. Now we go to cost management. Okay. For cost management, we first need to think about professional categories. All right. Let's go under cost management in the same organization tab. And in here, we will find categories and rates. Once we have the list of users, we can organize them into professional categories. The category will reflect what role, if you will, that user will have on your projects. Okay, and you can again create as many categories as you want. First, you create them in this list. It's simply a name at first, but then you will need to relate it to the different way of creating costs or calculating costs. If we go now to categories standard cost, we will have the same list of categories that you created in the first tab, although this time we will have the ability to create different rates. Okay. Now let me explain this with a little bit more detail. First, you need to choose if you are creating a cost entry for general or employee. What is the difference? When you see general, it means that you have not specified if the user is internal or external. Okay, you have not selected any specific user. If you select a user, the system already knows if that user is external or internal because you configured it before under user management. When you are referring to the category itself without relating it to a specific user, then it can be general, right? And general then will have that rate reference. Then you need to choose what is the category that you are configuring and what is the date from which this value is available. Okay, so first you need to select that. Okay, for example, let's select this value, and then you enter two values: the standard cost and the standard build rate. Okay, before entering the value, we recommend you to select first the currency for that entry. You can capture these values, these cost values, in any currency which is define it in your system. We'll talk about that next. Okay, but first you need to select the currency and then enter the value, and you will see below that ITM Platform will preserve the history of values, the history of cost rates. Okay, all right. Now, there is another variation to this. Mainly, this will refer to either employees or just the entire category. What about providers? You might have resources from providers, and those providers will cost you differently. Okay, so if that is the case, you have an area where you can configure your providers. Once again, you can enter as many providers as you require. Once you create the provider, you will be able, inside each provider, you will be able to select under the rates, what are the cost categories this provider will give you, okay? Will provide you. So I'll simply click on add new category and it will give you the list of the different categories, okay? So once you have those, then you can enter the specific rate, okay? Either standard cost or standard bill rate. And again, these can be different from your employees. All right? Okay, to close the gap and to connect with all the concepts that I have shown you so far in terms of user management, let me go back for a second to the user list. When I go here and I access a user, okay, under the position tab, you will find what is the current user position. You will find it below. Click on that, okay, and ITM Platform will give you the reference of cost and bill rate, okay? How is this selected? This is selected by using the top settings. You can enter if this user is either an employee or it's from a provider. You select the category, you name the position, those are required fields. You select the department if you have configured that under the business units, okay? And also you can set it from which date this entry should be considered, because a user can change their position, right? And depending on the position, again, it's not just the calculation in terms of time, but also how you use the cost. All right. Now let's address this multiple currency setting. When we go to multiple currency, you can see all the different currencies configured in your system. Configure them, it's really simple. First, you just need to click on add new currency and you can select from the list, okay? Select the currency and you can set it to be active or inactive. Now, once you have done that, similar to enter the cost rates, you can go to exchange rate. And then for each currency that you have defined, please note that in here, I don't see my base currency, which in this case is US dollars. I only see the extra currencies. So what I need to provide is the conversion, right? You select what is the exchange rate, from which date, and that's it. ITM Platform will take it from there. All right? Excellent. Now let's move forward. What other areas can we configure? We can configure custom fields as well. Sometimes it is not enough the number of values or the number of fields that ITM Platform considers for managing projects. You would like to provide with your own fields that are specific for your organization. So let's cover what are the customizable entities, custom field types, and field settings. Once more, let's navigate back to the system. You will find a custom fields area in the configuration tab, okay? Go all the way down, customization, and you will find custom fields in there. All right, first, customizable entities. Customizable entities are the different entities that you can create custom fields for. You can create custom fields for activities, clients, programs, project issues, project progress, risks, projects, purchases, revenue, services, and tasks, okay? So first, you need to tell ITM Platform what entity you are interested in. Typically, it's going to be projects, but it can be any of the others. For example, you can enter the invoice number or something like that for purchases, okay? Next, ITM Platform will present you with a list of existing custom fields. By the way, it is important that you know that you cannot delete a custom field if that custom field is in use. So Please be mindful of that, because once you create a custom field and you start using it, it is really difficult to delete a custom field. All right. So in here, you can click on Add New Field. And then what you need to choose is the field name. Okay. And then the field type. The field description is optional, but the field type is not. You have all these types. You can enter date values, a drop-down list, which will allow you to select only one choice, like in this case. HTML. HTML allows you to enter multi-line text fields. You can choose list. List, unlike drop-down lists, lists will allow you to do multiple selection, multiple values from the list. You can enter a number, a percentage value, a traffic light with red, yellow, green, or simply a line of text. Please do not confuse text with HTML. Text is a single line of text, typically limited to 256 characters, while when you need something like a description, you would need to use HTML. Okay. Now, other settings that you might be interested in is, for example, if this is a required field. In other words, can you create a project without providing this value? Yes or no? Okay. Or a task, or a purchase, or an issue. All right. You can also choose if this field is for display or not. You can have hidden fields. And this is important if you intend, for example, to create an interface between ITM Platform and another system. Sometimes it is important to preserve certain fields as internal fields, okay? And the other one is if you would like to display them to team members. Why is this for? What is this for? Well, team members would have access or partial access to some of the project information, like, for example, the name, the description, the start and end dates. But typically, they won't have access to, I don't know, for example, the financial information. Okay. So when you create a custom field, the custom field displays in a very specific area. Let me show you that real quick. Let's go to project. Okay. I'm going to open a project, and I'm going to show you where custom fields will display. They display in the general tab, which is the first one, and you will find them under methods. Okay, right now I don't see any custom field, but now let me show you that if I click on add new project, okay, I'm not going to create any new project. I just want to show you that under methods, we have the custom field area. Depending on certain settings like the type, okay, you might like to select which values are for this project, okay? So again, this information can be hidden from team members. You need to choose that field by field. All right. Okay, let's move forward. What other settings do we have? We have objectives and processes, assets. Okay, these two are typically for the PMO. This is more for ongoing. Okay, so let me address those two first. Let's go back to our system. If you intend to do some strategic planning, programs and all that, okay, it might be important that you consider objectives and processes and assets. Where can you find those? Let's go to organization, and then you have objectives and processes. These are basically catalogs, but they are very special catalogs. First, we typically start with business goals, and from here you can add plans, strategic plans, okay? And then you can create business goals, which are related to this business plan. We will have another training course specifically for programs and strategic planning. And there you will better understand these concepts. But from here, you can maintain them, okay? Similar, you can go to business process. Sometimes you are trying to reflect something like SAFe. Okay, so many organizations nowadays are following SAFe kind of organization. Okay, so if you are looking for that, you can go to business processes and create value chain activities and processes that can be related to your projects. Once more, these are mainly catalogs for identification, filtering, and later on advanced reporting. Okay. And last, we have the business goal category. You can add extra goal categories when you want to organize them into categories as well. Okay. Now, assets. Assets, you will find them under cost management and below multiple currencies. In there, you will find the asset list. This is also kind of important when you would like to relate your project to certain assets. Maybe you intend to do some ALM and support ongoing applications when you are creating them or you are maintaining them. So in that case, it would be important to reflect the assets for your projects. Now, in terms of settings, there is another kind of extra topic, the import settings. This is very specific to purchases. Let me explain that with a little bit more detail. When you are inside a project, and again, you will see this with much more detail in another training session that we have specifically for financial information. When we go to purchases, in here, I would capture the purchases for this project. But instead of manually capturing them, I can import them from a CSV file, okay? Well, when you intend to use this feature, it is important that first you configure it. Let's go to the configuration tab. Under customization, you will find import settings, okay? And in here, you will see an area which you can customize from a sample CSV. So if you already have that sample CSV, you can load it from here. So ITM Platform will recognize the fields, the different fields available to you. Right now, I have not imported anything. Okay, as you can see, the drop down is blank, but to the left, you will see the different fields inside the ITM Platform system. Okay, so basically this means that you need to click in here, load your CSV, and then select where can ITM Platform find the name, the description, the type, the provider, the status date, etc. Now, the two required fields that we have in this import is name and status date. The rest are optional, but again, it would be perfect if you can provide them. And next, it would be important that you configure the rest. For example, if you want to allow the creation of purchases, if you are using comma, or maybe you are using a semicolon as the separator, etc. Okay? All these settings will be meaningful once you try the first time to do an import. But remember, first, you need to configure this area before trying to import the purchases. All right. Now, what is the next topic? Our next topic in today's session is PM Pilot. As you know, we are now in the AI era, so AI is kind of everywhere. ITM Platform is not the exception, and we have some forms of artificial intelligence across the ITM Platform. Now, the AI flagship feature, if you will, is PM Pilot. What is PM Pilot? Let me present it formally to you. Whenever you are using ITM Platform, okay, you will see PM Pilot as this little blue box, okay, in the lower right corner. Let me cancel this so we can have a better look. Actually, let's go to home, right? So we have a closer look to this. So here is PM Pilot. If you click on that, it will open the chat area. Now, what is PM Pilot? PM Pilot is an AI tool that have two main topics as the main intent. The first one is answer questions around how to better use ITM Platform. Okay, so PM Pilot is a project management well-versed AI tool. So you can chat with PM Pilot to answer your project management general questions, if you will, because PM Pilot already knows this information, okay? The second topic is specific cases from our knowledge base. Okay, so ITM Platform has been trained in PM Pilot has been trained in project management concepts, but also in how to use ITM Platform using our knowledge base. Okay, so one way of getting quick answers from ITM Platform, it would be using PM Pilot. Okay, you can ask PM Pilot whatever you want in terms, for example, custom fields. How can I configure custom fields for my projects? Okay, and PM Pilot will use our knowledge base to better answer your question. Now, there is another advanced way of using PM Pilot if you want to try it out. Okay, we have the PM Pilot Enterprise Service. This is an additional service that you need to purchase, but this would allow you to use PM Pilot as a trained system in your methodology. So you can instruct PM Pilot how to answer your users with specific questions around how you intend to use ITM Platform. For example, use specific processes for purchases, for project management, for assigning resources, and all the things that are specific to your organization. Okay. Now, PM Pilot does not know it all. We know that from time to time, you might need some help. You might need to ask us some questions around the system, or maybe you are experiencing problems, or maybe you just simply want to ask for new features. Okay, so we have some recommendations around that. Okay, the first is if you need our help, please uh, write us an email to support@itmplatform.com. Okay, we will address any need from your email. Now, you can write us whatever you require. However, we would encourage you to include the following, because that will help us a lot better understand the situation and how to better respond to your request. First, please include the URL of your instance. If you don't know how to get it, let me show you. It's super simple. The easiest way of getting that is from your browser. Just take a look after itmplatform.com, and the next thing in between forward slashes is your specific URL. So please provide us with that so we know which instance you are using. Okay. Next, please tell us what is the applicable area where you are experiencing the issue. Maybe it's related to projects, maybe you saw it in resources or timesheet or programs or configuring the system, whatever it is. Tell us what is the area that is causing problems. Next, please include a screenshot of the error, message, or specific issue whenever possible. Sometimes it's not possible, but if you can, please provide us with one or many different screenshots. That help us a lot better understand the situation. Another very important thing is if you can provide us with the browser and version that you are using. Sometimes it's different if you are using Chrome, that if you are using Safari, if you are using Microsoft Edge, etc. So that information might help us identifying is that is a browser issue or where to click to handle the situation. Next, please include as much description as you can, including, please, the sequence to produce the issue. For example, whenever I click here and then click here and enter this information, it gives me the error. But if I clear this and that, it does not give me the message or the error or the issue. So if you can be very specific about that, that will help us a lot. Okay. And last, please tell us what is the level of urgency in terms of two things. If you can wait for the answer to follow the regular sequence of our support area, or if the issue is preventing you from using ITM Platform. For example, I cannot sign in. It gives me an error, so there's no way to use ITM Platform. Please let us know that you cannot use ITM Platform because of the issue, so we can address it promptly. Okay? If no, please tell us what is the level of urgency that you have on the issue. All right? And as you can see, these configuration topics are kind of simple. ITM platform is kind of already configured for you. You just need to provide with some parameters, some specific information around your organization, whatever it is that is not included in ITM platform, and you would like to find new features or new ways to using it. Also, please use this form. Write us to support@itmplatform.com. Let us know what is the new feature that you're looking for, how you intend to use it, so we can better understand the situation. And if we can make it happen, we will in a timely manner. Okay. All right. So that would cover all the topics that we have for today. So let me check if we have questions for today. While we review your questions, please help us get 5 stars on Capterra. If you can find information about ITM platform, you find it useful, and you can give us a good comment in there. It will allow us to improve our services and reach out to more customers. So we really appreciate any comments that you can give us there. All right, looks like we don't have questions for today. So with that, I just want to thank you for the time, and I hope to see you in our next training session. Thank you and have a great day.